Hey everyone, my name is Jessica Twitchell. I go by Twitch, and I completed the toy store activity at Target on Wendover. I really wanted to look at the toy section of Target because I frequently shop there, and I see myself continuing to shop there in the future. I wanted to look at how toys socialize us, specifically me and future generations, and really look at the gender and racial differences. Solely because I am in a multiracial relationship, and so having in the future, hopefully, we will have a child who will have to grow up with white mom, black dad, and kind of seeing how that'll play out in terms of us buying toys. So for the exercise, I went to Target, like I said. I really wanted to think about my own biases in observing toys. I think we in this process, we kind of all look at different things, and things stand out to us based off of our socialization and kind of how we were raised. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. And to really perceive the toy section as a child would or a parent would. What are they saying? What would if I'm trying to find a toy for my child for Christmas or any other holiday, what would I be looking for? What would I be looking at? So in terms of space, there were 3.5 aisles for girls and 4.5 aisles for boys. And in the middle was the Lego aisle. So there was a girls' side and a boys' side. I thought it was really interesting that the girls' stuff was closer to the younger children and even the baby section. And then the boys' stuff was closer to sports, which I think is what we've kind of all found throughout our experiences. And I also thought it was interesting in Target, the girls' stuff is across from books and some of the younger videos, and then it's also, the boys' stuff is across from video games and other technology. So it kind of shows, like, growing up, crossing the aisle, what are we expecting? In terms of colors, that immediately stood out for me. I think that we all can see how the pinks and the purples and the whites and those pastels really stand out to girls, are really attached to the girls' toys. And then the boys' toys have the harsher colors of the red and the blue and the yellows, oranges, greens, those darker colors. When I looked at human characteristics, I thought it was really interesting that human people, dolls, were only in the girls section. I didn't see any in the boys, which I thought was kind of strange. But it also stood out the fact that the entire girls section were dolls. There wasn't any other type of toy. And for those toys, there were nurturing positions focused on family and the jobs that women held. So for Barbies, it was interesting to see that the only type of Barbies that weren't, or female Barbies that weren't in either shorts or skirts, were for their jobs. So a flight attendant, a vet, a volleyball player. All of these things that we typically associate with girls or women instead of sort of gender neutral jobs. There wasn't a girl, or there wasn't a Barbie construction worker. There wasn't a Barbie doctor. There wasn't a Barbie mechanical engineer. There was none of that there. And so I thought that was really interesting and kind of limiting the way that we see our future, especially as a girl who identifies as a girl. I also thought it was interesting that in the Barbies, if there was a set, it wasn't mixed races. So there definitely were or was racial disparity in the dolls, but especially one wedding set, it was a white bride, a white groom, and 2 other white Barbie dolls in it. And I was like, whoa, that's not inclusive, especially how our ideas of marriage are changing and the legality of marriage is changing. I thought it was really cool that our generation dolls did have the variations of skin tones, but they also had, it was also named based off of race. So Mei Li appeared to be an Asian doll, while Belle appears to be a white doll. And I thought that was interesting, and it could be taken as problematic or not. In terms of gender-neutral dolls, there weren't any. So I thought that was interesting. There weren't even really boy dolls other than the fact in Barbie. For the aisles, I also thought it was interesting that it was separated by theme. So we had Barbie, Bratz, Our Generation dolls, Frozen, and the girls. But then Star Wars, superheroes, Ninja Turtles, Nerf for the boys. And I thought that was kind of problematic in the sense that you couldn't cross. And they were on completely different sides. You couldn't cross over. And I also thought it was problematic that the technology games, the kits that you make were not next to the Legos, but even further in the boys section. So it kind of fuels into this reduction of women in the STEM field because there aren't guys in that, or there aren't women in that. For the Legos, I thought it was interesting that even on the aisle names, it was building sets for the boys' side and girls' building sets for the girls. And so it's completely separated. Okay, this is the girls' side. This is the regular side. We're having a problem. All the girls' Legos were pink and purple. They were focused on concert scenes, on family, on the home, on princesses, and all the Legos were, all the boys' Legos were vehicles and more imaginary creatures designed for fighting. And I thought that was particularly interesting. And there are definitely a lot more options for boys. In terms of, for me, I grew up with an older cousin, and so I played with Legos, but as soon as he was out of the house, I switched to Barbies. And I thought that was interesting for me to see. If I had walked into Target, I would have been conflicted in the sense that, do I pick a toy that my older cousin is going to enjoy or one that's more for girls? I think there's also, it plays into this stereotype of you are restricted in the sense of your position. We can't just have girls be nurses. It can't happen. We cannot have dolls only designed for the house. We need to show, especially young girls, that they can get out and they can be part of the STEM field. They can play with Legos. They can play with Nerf guns, as you said. And we don't have to change the colors. Be it how it is. I can play with a green toy. Woohoo! But I think it definitely shows that we are separating and so concretely in everything that we see that there has to be one, there has to be the other, and there's no mixture or in between for people who maybe don't identify that way. I also thought, especially with the stereotypes, Frozen, automatically assumed for the girls section. Star Wars, automatically assumed for the boys section. What about the girls who like Star Wars? What about the boys who like Olaf? Why is this, why are we separating toys in this way? And I think it also shows the location. Girls, younger, baby, be gentle, be soft. Toys, or boys' toys, tough, fight, sports, be active, get outside, fight each other. There's definitely this, major difference of in the home versus outside, or in the home versus in the real world, or in the home versus at work. And I think there's a very big issue with that, and especially when we are forcing children to choose this, to choose one or the other. That's really problematic in terms of their lifestyle choices, what they want to do, and how they identify. So yeah, thanks everyone.